So last year in October, I did my full review on this particular phone right here, the Moto X Pure. And at that time, I was happy with it, but not as happy as I am now with my second purchase of the Moto X Pure. So now I'm going to give you a rundown of how I feel about this phone in 2016. It's been almost a year since I originally had purchased this. And I gave my thoughts on it. I gave my thoughts on the camera. I gave my thoughts on the entire device at that time. Well, now this phone has had tons of updates since I've had it in the past, and it's actually a really great device. So let's start with the one thing you see here. It's bumpy cam. Let's start with the one thing you see here is the screen. This phone has a 5.7-inch Quad HD display. Now, it's an IPS display, but still, it is a really, really, really good display. It has 3 gigs of RAM in here. And I have the 16 gig model because that's another thing I'll talk about in a little bit about storage. It has an SD card. So I have the 16 gig model, and it has the 808 Snapdragon in here with a 3000 milliamp hour battery. Obviously it has the front firing dual speakers there, which just is one of the best parts of this device. So why did I buy it again? Well, I bought it again because it was definitely a good purchase at 230 bucks. Here in 2016. If you think about it, it hasn't even been a year yet, and this is the bamboo version. So back in the day, the non-bamboo version, I paid $450 for the 32 gig, and it was the white and champagne. So when I saw this for 230 bucks, I thought, you know what, there is absolutely no reason why I should not pick this device up this time. And so I jumped all over it. Now, in 2016, how does it fare? Well, in my other video, I talked about the battery life was horrible. I was only getting like 3.5 hours, I think I said. I didn't really like the camera too much, I believe. Not as much as other devices. And I didn't give it a bad review. It just wasn't, I felt like for the price, that battery life, for me, battery life is at the top of the list for me. If you have a $600 phone or $500 phone, and you have very poor battery life for your usage, I can't justify the purchase. And so back then, me having paid 450 bucks plus taxes or whatever I paid at the time, I was pretty upset about that. Not, upset literally, but I was kind of shocked. Hey, I got a 3000 milliamp hour battery. I got a beautiful display and everything, so it's pushing, it's working hard, but it has that 808 processor in there, and that is a tried and true, proven Snapdragon. It works good. Look at it in the G4. Now, unfortunately, in every device, it doesn't work that good, but now this time around, I've got an update to Android 6.0, so it's running the latest build, and there's been improvements to the camera. There's just been a lot of things that made this phone very attractive besides the price. Again, the bamboo version back in the day, you were gonna pay some money for this. So now at 230 bucks, I don't see a reason why I wouldn't tell a person not to buy it. It's back up to $299 in a lot of places, but you gotta just kind of scour the internet for those good deals. So the screen here is the main thing that you see when you get a phone like this. These phones with these huge displays, and they're Quad HD displays. I have it toned down with a black wallpaper because I like to design my own wallpapers. But still, this has been a really good display, and I'm super happy about it. Let me change to a more vibrant display. I'll use a stock wallpaper. This is the one that originally comes with it when it's on there. This wallpaper is great, to say the least. It shows off the colors. I hate doing this, and I'll get to that later. But it shows off the colors and how vibrant the screen pops. Now, if you look at my setting there, you can see I have it at just under half. I got it at about 45% or so. But this screen is beautiful, and that's one of the main highlights of this phone, besides those dual front-firing speakers. I've been really enjoying this phone. I've been using it as much as I can daily because I've been rotating. Here's what I've been doing lately. I have 2 devices, 2 SIMs that are primary. So the primary SIM normally stays in the HTC 10 or this phone, or some other phones that I have laying around. But primarily, I'm rotating back between these 2 when one dies. I've been really happy. When I switch back and forth, I think, man, those front-firing speakers are just fantastic, and you just can't go wrong with front-firing speakers. Try to position my hand here so no more bumpy cam. Motorola has a great set of speakers on this device, And if you don't think so, I don't know, you might have really high standards. Aside from the improved camera, this is the Google camera, but here's the Motorola camera. There's just some things I just can't get used to with the Motorola camera. I don't like the picture taking like that. And if I hit that record button, it goes directly into the camera and starts recording. I'm just not a fan of this type of shooting. You can adjust it and everything, but I don't know. I'm just, after having a camera that has a button, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of it. Nonetheless, this does shoot in 4K, and it is really, really nice to shoot in 4K. Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. It's really, really nice to shoot in 4K. You got auto HDR. You got a flash here. You got a front-facing flash too, which I think is just something that all phones should have. You can do the little twist to turn the camera on, but I don't like that feature actually. Not a fan of that feature. But this camera has improved since I've had it since last year, and I've been pretty happy with it overall. I don't take very many. I will be honest and say I don't use the rear camera that much. I actually use the front camera more. The front camera here is really good. Depending on when I'm taking pictures with family members or something like that, it really shines. The camera software update has improved. Now, like I said, I've been using, now when I do use the rear camera, I use the Google camera because I actually like a button. Now you can actually use the volume rockers to take pictures, but I just think pressing the button like that I'm just so used to that. So it's not a good or a bad thing. It's a matter of preference. And I'm not a photographer with a cell phone, so that's just kind of one of those things. A little quirky. I'm still not used to. I don't like touching the screen to take photos, so I try to do it with the volume rocker, and it's a little weird at times. But I've really been enjoying this beautiful screen. Now the speakers are just obviously they're great. I keep wanting to say boom sound, but these speakers are really loud and extremely tinty. So that means, the bass isn't as strong as other phones. Bumpy Cam, the front-facing speakers on here isn't as loud or as rich as other phones, but it is very, very loud and very, very clear. I haven't had any distortion at peak volume. It's actually really, really solid, and I'm glad that I actually have this in my catalog. So the speakers, I've been enjoying it. The screen, I've been enjoying it a lot. The cameras, I'm still kind of, they're not the best. This isn't the best set of cameras that I have in my repertoire. It is not, and I'll be honest and say that. But that's not one of the main points of this phone. I got it for the speakers and the screen, and just the beautiful build quality on this thing. This thing has some of the best build quality ever. I mean, this is really nice, and I'm curious to see how this wood will stand up over time. Now granted, it's my daily driver, but it's not my daily. I swap my SIM card, like I said before. When one phone dies, I rotate to the next, so I'm always on 100%. Now the battery, let's talk about a little bit more into the battery. Now the battery, before I was getting maybe I might have been getting I just took this off the charger, by the way. I might have been getting 3.5 hours of screen on time. Well, my testing this time around, the battery life has greatly improved since before. I picked up an hour, and and I credit it to Doze. Android 6.0 is helped a lot of devices. I mean, it really did. 6.0 helped all these devices that didn't have the best battery life. It just did. There's no getting around it. This helped a lot of phones that did not have the best battery life, because when it's sitting still, there's no problems, there's no drain, there's no nothing. So there's no ultra power saving mode or anything on here, but you just get this this standard Google, I don't know. I used to have it set to never, but I'll do it for 15. Now I can turn it on now, and this is what you get. I just don't like to. That's not really a good power saving thing to me. I would love to see an ultra power saving mode for this device. That would be very nice. And I don't know if that can be added in a software update. A lot of things now could be done over a software update, but that would be nice. Another feature that I've been enjoying is the adaptive storage. Now, a lot of phones cannot do this. We all know that the HTC 10 can do it. I think that's just one of the best, oh my gosh, just one of the best features that you can have ever. Let me go in here now. Go to storage. As you can see, I'm using it also on my adaptive storage on the HTC 10. That is good. That is a good thing. Having adaptive storage, because I can unmount this card, and I like how this separates this. The Android OS is 6.39 gigabytes, which is a lot for an OS, but hey, it is what it is. The internal is using almost 4 of the 9.6 available, and then I have almost 3 of the 29 gigs available there. So total, I'm using 13.23 gigs of my 45.24 gigs. This is just one of the best deals ever. You can see I have applications on the SD card that I have installed directly, and you can see they're all there. So that's good. That's a good thing. Adaptive storage has proven to be very useful, because if I want to, I can up this phone to 200 gigs or 128 gigs or 64 gig, whatever I want to do, I can change it. And that, my friend, is why I had the 16 gig version and not the 64 gig version. The 64 gig version, when I purchased this, it was actually on sale for $319. And so I paid $230 for it. So if I did the math there, I think you can kind of tell, I saved a gang of money, because 64 gig cards are like 20 bucks right now. And I mean the good 64 gig cards, you can find a 128 gig card for like $30. So it didn't warrant me, I didn't feel, that I needed to jump up to the 64 gig because it was $319 and this was $230. So I didn't see the need to do that. I felt, you know what, it'll have adaptive storage. I'll go right in and I'll go ahead and just use the adaptive storage feature, and that's gonna be it. So that is the reason that I went with the 16 gig version. It was available for 64, but I didn't see the need for it. The weight of this phone, I don't remember how light it is. Sometimes, when you get a phone, you realize, you think, oh God, this is actually a pretty comfortable phone to hold still. I realized that because it curves, got the teardrop thing working, the curves, and it slims down to a very slim bottom here. The corners are like 3.9 or something like that. This is actually a beautiful looking device. That's just why I went with the bamboo version. No engravements or anything like that, because I don't know if I'll sell this later on down the line once it gets really old. If there's nothing going on with it, maybe I'll give it away. I don't know, but we're talking a ways here, because this phone was a flagship less than a year ago, and it's still a flagship. It's just on sale, an on sale flagship. You gotta look out for those flagships that are on sale. Nope, I don't need that. But nonetheless, overall though, the gripes and complaints that I had from the other one, which was the camera and the battery life, those are somewhat pain points that have been solved for me. And like I said before, yeah, this phone was $230. It's just kind of a no-brainer if you're a techie, if you're a person who loves to collect phones or tablets or whatever you're collecting, and you see them drop down to like in half in price, you should jump on it. Now, I think regularly this is $399 for the 16 gig model when it was launched. And, it has an SD card slot, but I don't think the adaptive storage was going on back then. So, but now I think this is a killer purchase. Even if you can get it now for $299, you're getting a good deal. This phone is well worth $299 at this price, for what it's offering. I mean, the Quad HD display, and you think about some of the phones that are getting ready to come out. So, what do you really have to upgrade? Do you seriously have to upgrade if you're the average consumer? This phone right here should be able to take the average consumer into the next 2 years, depending on their needs. And what else could you need? You've got your speakers, you've got improved battery, you've got the highest quality screen that you can possibly get right now, Quad HD. You've got a good tried and true processor. You have everything you need here. The cameras, just because I don't like the controls of the camera, that doesn't mean it's a bad camera. This is actually a really good camera. And it's, yeah, it's not on par with some of the other phones that are out there, but it's still on par. And it will, most things now are just social media. We're posting things to Twitter and Facebook and Google Plus and all those types of deals, and Instagram and Snapchat or whatever it is. that's all that's going on pretty much now with cell phone cameras. Now, there are some people, like I actually partially run this channel by recording with the iPad Pro 9.7. Sometimes the 12.9 is used to record, and sometimes the iPad Air 2 is used to record. But the Pro that I'm using right now to record this video, this is stellar quality. And I put up a video on, you can pretty much run your channel from an iPad Pro 9.7, 256 gig like me. Although I do have a primary camera I use for shooting, when I don't want to do a bunch of swapping and moving things around, I'll grab the iPad Pro 9.7 like I have right now, and I'll start recording a video. And you can chop this thing up, you can edit in 4K, you can do everything from a mobile device. So I know people that actually use a phone like this to run their channel. So it's very well possible, but you have to have enough up front to performance-wise to know that your channel will be able to, you'll be able to edit and do everything on here. This does have quick charge. It doesn't charge very, very fast, but you can get in about 15 minutes, you can get about 34% or 35%, it says, with fast charging. But nonetheless, this is definitely still a phone that's worthy of contending with other phones that come out. So when I see videos like, oh, the OnePlus is now the new boss, or, you know, this phone is now the new boss, even me with the Samsung Galaxy J7, you know, that phone is $230. It's actually the same price as this. Now, which one would I choose if I could choose between the two? Oh, there's some advantages there and there's some disadvantages there. The advantages of the J7 is the screen is a little bit better than this, even though it's 720p. That sounds crazy, but it is a very good screen. Maybe I'll go ahead and do a comparison. How about that? Yeah, I think I'll do that. But there's a lot more advantages with this phone than it is buying the, if I had a choice between the J7 and the Moto X Pure right here that I have. I know I have both of them, but if I could only keep one of them, it would definitely be this phone. Reason being is because it's got a set of front-firing speakers that are just ridiculous. The speaker on the J7 is on the back and it's very low. This screen is a little bit bigger, but the size of the phone is not. So I think we should probably just do a comparison, man. I think that will be fantastic. Nonetheless, I've been enjoying the Moto X Pure. I think it's well worth $299 if you caught it for $299. I just happened to catch it for $230 with a free 32 gig card. This is still a very good option over tons of new phones that are coming out. If I had to choose between this and the new Moto 4G Plus, I would choose this. If I had to choose between this and the HTC 10, I would choose this. I know I have the HTC 10 too, but if I didn't have, if all these phones were laying out on the table, if I had to choose this or the iPhone 6s Plus, I would choose this. Yeah, this doesn't do some of the things that those phones can do, but there are some things in this phone those phones just don't offer. The front-firing speakers, the beautiful camera, the build quality, the performance, there's just a lot of things. The looks, hardware means a lot. And the iPhone 6s Plus is ugly compared to this phone. This is bamboo. Sweet. Beautiful. I mean, the hardware on this, to me, rivals this. Yeah. It rivals this phone right here. If this phone was a 5.7-inch display, a little bit bigger, this would be a killer. This would be a monster. But nonetheless, yeah. I've been enjoying it. To say the least. I love it, man. The second time around is a lot better. So it's your man Jay Will. Thanks for looking on. This is how I feel about the Moto X Pure 2015 and 2016. It's always good to have a good revisit. See you guys in the next one. Take care.